Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where we are discussing climate change, abrupt climate change, things adjacent, general downward path of the human civilization and where we are headed. Does not look great. Doesn't mean all is lost, but try and find some things to be happy about right now, today, in this moment. Because a lot of signs point to the fact that there might be a lot of things to be sad about in the near future. Thank you all for joining in the live stream last night. Thank you. That was really fun. I had a good time. I enjoy always enjoy doing those. Pardon me. What's funny though is there was a lot of I just noticed a lot of thumbs down on the video, and every time I get every once in a while I get a bunch of like no, and I'm always wondering if it's like something I'm talking about, a particular subject, or if there's just a lot of for whatever reason my channel attracts a lot of deniers. I'm sure other climate change channels get a lot of deniers. From what it looks like, deniers are all over YouTube and ready to attack. So I don't know if that was the case or, whatever, but I just find it always a little bit funny. I think that there's quite a few doubters and deniers that follow this channel just for sport or whatever. But if it was regular followers of this channel thumbing me down, give me a reason. I'd like to know. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to change anything about anything I have to say, but it's good to know maybe like why you're upset. I don't know. Let's have a discussion. I don't know. Other than that, we had a great time. The chat was lively. The topics were wide and varying, and I had a good old time. I'm going to read a comment from a recent video. This is from Imogen. She says, the 5-year 1 in 5 estimate by Wadhams, or 1 to 5 estimates for a large release of methane, of course, doesn't include a calculation for what we don't know. We haven't been here before. How can we estimate the amplification of warming created by positive feedbacks, even those that we are aware of, let alone the ones we are not? Likewise, although albeit doubtful, we cannot take into account any possible negative feedbacks. We also have a huge unknown. How will governments react? How will people react to that, et cetera, has so often been said, trying to get people to recycle efficiently, if at all, doesn't give me confidence in anything right now. Right. It's hard enough getting people to be mindful of their waste, currently, definitely. Most here, I think, would be feeling that this may well not be a calculation we need to make, as the point is we have passed so many tipping points. But a 1 in 5 chance is frightening, but not unexpected. I think all acts toward mitigation are worth it, but do we really have enough time to implicate anything of worth? I think all acts towards mitigation are worth it. More straight information from every direction as fast as possible. Too many people think they know what the implications of our warming planet are, but I just don't think they do. And certainly they do not realize the speed at which the whole thing will collapse. We haven't been here before. That's a great point. And I think that partly gives the masses a lot of comfort and a feeling of safety, because our current generation, or the last few generations, haven't really been through anything really life-altering, or they haven't been through anything that would like knock the ground from underneath them. I mean, we had people that had gone through the Depression and World War II or World War I, and those were like big, huge earth, changing catastrophic events, and it made people really, wary, look at life differently, understand, be thankful, understand what a blessing it is to have anything in your stomach or a roof over your head, or, not have half the world on fire. The last few generations haven't been through anything like that. Vietnam was probably the last real, and it wasn't really even global. That was more just about the USA. But the last, big social or cultural upheaval during that time. And although some really scary things happened then, I don't think it was the same. People just kind of like went through the shift and just went, all right, well, I guess we just got to make money or whatever. Yeah, so nobody has really been face to face with anything cataclysmic, and unfortunately, we're due. And also, if you listen to the economic doomsayers, I don't know why my phone is doing a weird thing. If you listen to the economic doomsayers, there's also a certain amount of time, between each recession or downturn or depression. There's also a certain amount of time that fiat currency actually has, fiat currency only has a certain amount of lifespan, and we're reaching the end of that lifespan for our current fiat currency model, or petrodollar, or whatever it is you want to call it. There's a lot of bubbles, is all I got to say. And with that, I'm going to segue into this article. I'm going to keep this video short tonight. It's already late, and or at least late for the fact that I have to wake up at 5 a.m. And this article is called "Our Finite World." 2019 world economy is reaching growth limits. Expect low oil prices, financial turbulence. Financial markets have been behaving in a very turbulent manner in the last couple of months. The issue, as I see it, is that the world economy is gradually changing from a growth mode to a mode of shrinkage. This is something like a ship changing course from going in one direction to going in reverse. The system acts as if the brakes are being very forcefully applied, and reaction of the economy is to almost shake. What seems to be happening is that the world economy is reaching limits to growth. As predicted in the computer simulations model, and this is, that video that everybody was talking about a few months ago, The Limits to Growth, modeled on the 1972 book, The Limits to Growth. In fact, the base model of that set of simulations indicated that peak industrial output per capita might be reached right about now. Peak food per capita might be reached about the same time. I've added a dotted line to the forecast from this model indicating where the economy seems to be in 2019. So we're right on the edge of a lot of, straight down kind of things. Although all those things seem to be looking like they're happening in between. Well, some of them are already happening. A lot of them seem to be happening right around 2022, 23, and then others, and then maybe one more staggered back toward 2045. The economy is a self-organizing structure that operates under the laws of physics. Many people have thought that when the world economy reaches limits, the limits would be of the form of high prices and running out of oil. This represents an overly simple understanding of how the system works. What we should really expect, and in fact what we are beginning to now see, is production cuts in finished goods made by the industrial system, such as cell phones and automobiles, because of affordability issues. Indirectly, these affordability issues lead to low commodity prices and low profitability for commodity producers. For example, the sale of Chinese private passenger vehicles for the year of 2018 through November is down by 2.8%, with November sales up by 16.1%. Most analysts are forecasting this trend of contracting sales to continue into 2019. Lower sales seem to reflect affordability issues. Saudi Arabia plans to cut oil production by 800,000 barrels per day from the November 2018 level to try to raise oil prices. Profits are too low at current prices. Coal is reported to not to have an economic future in Australia, partly because of competition from subsidized renewables, and partly because China and India want to prop up the prices of coal from their own coal mines. So this is a pretty long and intricate article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to skip through and get some high points. So let's move down to this. A growing debt bubble can help commodity prices up because uh, keep commodity prices up because of a rising amount of debt can indirectly provide more demand for goods and services. For example, if there is a growing debt, it can be used to buy homes, cars, and vacation travel, all of which require oil and other energy consumption. If debt levels become too high, or if regulators decide to raise short-term interest rates as a method of slowing the economy, the debt bubble is in danger of collapsing. A collapsing debt bubble tends to lead to recession and falling commodity prices. Commodity prices fell dramatically in the second half of 2008. Prices now seem to be headed downward again, starting in October 2018. There's a lot of points in here that I'm not going to be able to get to that I would like to, but I want to just hit some. I already said this. What is ahead if we are reaching economic growth limits? One, figure one at the top of this post seems to give an indication of what is ahead after 2019, but this forecast cannot be relied on. A major issue is that the limited model used at that time did not include the financial system or debt. Even if the model seems to provide a reasonably accurate estimate of when limits will be hit, it won't necessarily give a correct view of what the impact of limits will be on the rest of the economy after limits hit. The authors, in fact, have said that the model should not be expected to provide reliable indications regarding how the economy will behave after limits have started to have an impact on economic output. Two, as indicated in the title of this post, considerable financial volatility can be expected in 2019 if the economy is trying to slow itself. Stock prices will be erratic, which they already are. Interest rates will be erratic. Currency relativities will tend to bounce around. The likelihood that derivatives will cause major problems for banks will rise because derivatives tend to assume more stability in values than now seems to be the case. Increasing problems with derivatives raises the risk of bank failures, and derivatives have actually been propped up for quite a long time. What to do with all those derivatives? Three, the world economy doesn't necessarily fail all at once. Instead, pieces that are in some sense less efficient users of energy may shrink back. During the Great Recession of 2008-09, countries that seemed to be most affected were countries such as Greece, Spain, and Italy that depend on oil for a disproportionately large share of their total energy consumption. China and India, with energy mixes dominated by coal, were much less affected. In the 2002-2008 period, oil prices were rising faster than prices of other fossil fuels. This tended to make countries using a high share of oil in their energy mix less competitive in the world market. The low labor costs of China and India gave these countries another advantage. Five, oil exporters such as Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and Nigeria become vulnerable to government overthrow or collapse because of low world oil prices since 2014. If the central government of one or more of these exporters disappears, it is possible that the pieces of the country will struggle along producing a lower amount of oil, as Libya has done in recent years. It's also possible that another larger country will attempt to take over the failing production of the country and secure the output for itself. We have seen Russian fighters, right, or bombers in Venezuela. Six, epidemics become increasingly likely, especially in the countries with serious financial problems, such as Yemen, Syria, Venezuela. Historically, much of the decrease in population in countries with collapsing economies has come from epidemics. Of course, epidemics can spread across national boundaries, exporting the problems elsewhere. Seven, resource wars become increasingly likely. These can be local wars, perhaps over the availability of water. They can also be large international wars. The timing of World War I and World War II make it seem likely that these wars were both resource wars. Eight, collapsing intergovernmental agencies such as the European Union, the World Trade Organization, and the International Monetary Fund seem likely. The United Kingdom's planned exit from the European Union in 2019 is a step toward dissolving the European Union. As soon as they do that, other countries are going to be like, all right, I'm gone. 9, privately funded pension funds will increasingly be subject to default because of continued low interest rate. This is another thing that I really don't hear much about because like 2 years ago, some very large pension funds were like on the verge of collapsing. And I don't know what happened to those. One of those was in California. A large pension fund in California was on the verge of going belly up. And so I don't know if they just are propping it up. I don't know what's going on. Some governments may choose to cut back the amounts they provide to pension. That's one of the things they did, was cut their payments. Because governments cannot collect adequate tax revenue for this purpose, some countries may purposely shut down parts of their governments in an attempt to hold down government spending. Hey, we're doing that right now. 10, a far worse and more permanent recession than that of the Great Recession seems likely because of the difficulty in repaying debt with interest in a shrinking economy. It is not clear when such a recession will start. It could start later in 2019, or perhaps it may wait until 2020. As with the Great Recession, some countries will be affected more than others. Eventually, because of the interconnected nature of financial systems, all countries are likely to be drawn in. Summary: while it is possible that this is an endpoint for the human race, this is not certain by any means. There have been many amazing coincidences over the past 4 billion years that have allowed life to continue to evolve on this planet. More of these coincidences may be ahead. We also know that humans lived through past ice ages. They likely can live through other kinds of adversity, but this whole thing is actually leaving out what? Give me a C. Give me a C. What does that stand for? Climate change, which is the big goocher, which is basically a huge plow that's just going to, like, who cares what's going on with the economy? Climate change is going to come knock everything over. I think, y'all, that is all I'm going to cover for tonight. I understand that was more of a financial / political thing. While we're at it, let's talk about Tulsi Gabbard announcing her 2020 candidacy. I'm very excited about that. People have been talking to me about it in the comment section. Right now, she's, to me, a pretty darn good candidate. She does include climate change in her conversation, but one of her big selling points is that she wants peace. She wants to withdraw from all of our skirmishes or endless wars. She wants to bring troops home. She wants to get the troops out of Syria and Afghanistan. Interestingly enough, Elizabeth Warren has also declared, and I like Elizabeth Warren. She also has a good thoughts around reining in banks, but obviously right now we need radical change. And I was just thinking the other day, when people are the yellow vests, Gilets jaunes, are still rioting in France, and or is it Gilets jaunes? I don't know. Somebody will correct me in the comments, I'm sure. Are still rioting in France, and if there's an issue to really get in the streets about, like right now, other than everything's going to shit, I would say it would be getting money out of politics. Like, if people really push themselves out there and just were and because I actually heard on interestingly enough, on a Q channel, the commentator talking about the fact that we should have an even playing field politically. Like, we should take all financing out of political races, and we should have, everybody should get, here's 400 grand or 100 grand or whatever it is, $500,000 seems like a lot, but for a presidential race, maybe that's fine. Or here's $1 million for everybody, that's all you get. And if you're caught taking any other financing, public or private, you're out, you're done. It's like immediate ejection. And on top of that, lobbyists just need to go. Like, all lobbyists need to go. I would say that would be one of because we can't address anything until we kick corporations out completely and totally, until we kick money totally and completely out of our political process. We can't get people in who are like, okay, we need to do this, we need to fix these things. So if there's anything to get in the streets about, I would say, like, right now, just start pushing, or to get really vocal about, start pushing no money in no money in political races, no money in the presidential races, complete campaign finance reform, and real campaign finance reform, as in like none at all, as in like here what I just described. I don't need to say it again. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. Of course, there's lots of climate change things to talk about in the commentary. That's what we talk about every day. This video just ended up being more about some political stuff, but I don't have time for any more articles tonight. I will be back tomorrow with another video. Until next time, peace.